SHU studio, we get busy.
I want to take this time to shout out our wide fan base overseas, showing us extreme love on Google TV, Apple TV. Shout out to y'all out in the Philippines, all over, wherever you are right now listening. Much love. We want to just give a big shout out on that because we've been getting a lot of love, and I know you can't comment like everybody in the chat, so we wanted to take this time to highlight y'all. So much love. We're gonna have a really dope show. Shout out to MJMG Presents. We're gonna let the set warm up a little bit. I don't know why every time I'm about to go live, folks decide to text me and tell me to wait. Like, don't go yet. It's amazing, but I love the love and I love the energy. So it's a reminder that something good is happening. But they better hurry up. They better hurry up because they're gonna miss some of this conversation. And I don't think anyone should miss the conversation today. And before I give the brother his true introduction, I just wanted to say this individual. I'm waiting for the people. I'm getting hold up. I'm getting messages to hold up. Yo, Tim, what's going on, Timbo? So this individual has sat down and gave the platform to many creatives, many talents to tell their stories. And he has a story of his own, and we're going to talk a little bit about that, and he's going to share some of the things that y'all could do to tell y'all story. And do it correctly. Please do it correctly. But we're going to go into this video break real quick. This song right here is from JR's. He was also on the show a few times, and he's no stranger to the A&R desk. This song is off the MJMG Presents, and if you haven't seen it, shout out to the Click family right here. This is the album right here, The Experience. So we're about to jump on real quick. This is a song off The Experience called Can't Get Enough. It's one of my favorites. And this artist got two of my favorites on the project. So check this out and we'll be right back with the set, y'all.
Yeah, it's ours to yeah. I can't get enough of your love. Can't be deceiving. I think I'm in love with you. I can't get enough. I can't get enough. No, I can't get enough of your love. I can't get enough. I can't get enough. No, I can't get enough of your love. Never have I ever felt a love so real before, and that's why I can't get enough. I can't get enough. No, I can't get enough of your love. I can't get enough of you. We can hit the city and do whatever you wanna do, baby. Everybody thinks she rude, but damn, know you like I do, baby. Love and living luxury. She even opened up to me. She showed me something real, like glue that really stuck with me. He been stuck on beef, I'm stuck on cheddar cheese. We gon' run it up, little baby, follow me. Oh, what a night she came into my life. She's everything that I believe in. Beautiful soul, got a heart full of gold, and your love, it is truly relieving. You here for me, and girl, I'm here for you. Believe everything's here for a reason. But they say things can't be deceiving. Girl, I can't get enough. I can't get enough. I can't get enough of your love. I can't get enough. I can't get enough. No, I can't get enough of your love. Never
All right, y'all. We had this set going for a little bit. I want to do this right, and I want to do this now. Let's get some background going. Now, first of all, I want to send a shout out to Music Masters by Noli, Crash the Industry, Wristbox, Unapologetically E. Shout out to everybody jumping on tonight, right? So if you haven't seen, right, if you haven't seen the post or the promo and what's going on, I want to do a formal thing, right? And everybody, tell a friend to jump on right now. This individual has, he says almost 500, right? Almost 500 guest interviews. And I know it's small because beforehand, he sat down with many talents, many individuals. He gave a lot of people the outline to speak their truths, their joys, and their passion. But guess what, y'all? Even though he's had the moment to give these platforms and these individuals their place, he has a story and he has the master plan for a lot. He made a lot of people look good. Put it that way. He made a whole lot of people look amazing. And I just want to take this time to shout out the host of the RnB Talk Show. If you haven't, 8 p.m. Eastern on weeknights on the IG page, check that out. And this individual is not just a host. He went from photography to artist promotion to learning the business to everything. So without further ado, let's introduce Rashad Ali. Round of applause for the brother. Round of applause. I try to do you justice because of all the justice you've done for everybody else. Everybody else.
Yeah.
First of all, thank you for coming on to the show. For me, it's a pleasure to interview you with the experience and the amount of people. May I add? I'm talking about like he sat down with the Whispers and so, like that's all I gotta say. I don't even gotta go no more. Go anymore. But one thing that I'm interested to know, like, I know you started, I don't want to say started out in photography, but what was your love for the arts? Like, where did that start? And let's lead it into where you are now.
Yeah, it all started back in 1987. I was watching episode of Soul Train. No, 1986. And I was about I never forget, I was 5 years old. And so at the time, my mother, we stayed with my grandmother at the time. She was, she had like breast cancer and everything and stuff. And one day, my mother said, let's turn over to Soul Train. And then, man, I got instantly hooked, onto the show. And make a long story short, it did something to me as a little boy. I didn't know what it was, and I watched the whole thing. And then forget my mother tapped my shoulder. She said, "Shot, hey, get up." Like, yeah, try to get something to eat after the show was over with. And then fast forward up after my grandmother passed away, then we moved. I started seeing Club LTV Video Soul. And then I'm gonna tell you, 1991, that's summer went to Win Dixie's when Win Dixie was around. So me and my mother, we went to the grocery store, and I told her that I want to be a talk show host because I had a dream that I was hosting RC the House show, but he wasn't even there.
Wow.
And it was crazy, man. And that's when I knew that was my calling. I didn't, when you a kid, you dream about stuff, but you don't think that as you get older, it's going to be your thing. So as time went on, man, no matter what's going on in my life, I just stuck with that, So yeah, that was my only Kickstarter, to have a love for what I'm doing now.
Nice. So you had your envisionment from early. What was the first steps in that direction?
Yeah, for me, it was not really much. I was interested in seeing the artist. I was more focused on how this host, how he talks, how he carries himself, bringing good energy in, how the guests respond, how they talk and stuff. So watching Arsenio Hall, Don Cornelius, and Donnie Simpson, how they deliver, I was like, wow, this is how they do, what I'm saying? And people's enjoying, their questions and stuff. So that was kind of like my, university, of studying, the greats and stuff. I never went to school for none of this. And it seemed like, man, it was it built in me. So around the time I was in elementary, I had a little show, every 12 o'clock on lunch break was called Kids at Work. So it was me and my childhood friend Darnell. And at that time, we really couldn't talk about what we do now. So it was basically talk school. We could talk about entertainment, but when you go to a kind of a white type of school, you can only be so much. But
Yeah.
Truly Elementary at that time, it was a performing art school, but it opened my eyes up to let's know we could be great, And this lady, she was a Spanish teacher, and she go by Miss Savannah. And she's, matter of fact, she's still alive. Big shouts to her. She told my mother, she said, I don't know what it is, your son gonna become something. Because what she saw in me, she put me in plays. I played with the burglars was 101 Dalmatians. So everybody know I was good and comedian, what I'm saying, at that time. So, and then, man, I just got addicted to it and stuff. And then it went from there. I didn't do much in middle school because the
Okay.
school I went to was like rough, man. It was like, going to Stuart Middle, man, it was like watching a movie of Lead on Me, So at that time, I
That's
was like, damn, all this.
that was rough. Yeah, that was rough. That
Yeah.
was rough.
So I got to high school, I was able to reform, from there and stuff. Yeah.
Nice. So you took those transitions, and I know you mentioned not to sit on that. I know you mentioned that schooling at that time was rough, and I could take possibly the neighborhood and all that. How did you navigate your life between that, stay stable to continue on your path? Because I know that probably had an effect on you, negative or
Yeah.
positive.
It really did though, because when we left, go from an all black neighborhood, then to move to a suburban neighborhood, back in '89, and then go to white neighborhood. I ain't gonna lie to you, it scared the hell out of me though. I never seen that much white people in my lifetime. Saying there, but when I got there, I got so used to how things was and stuff. It opened my eyes up to let me know that okay, there's a great life that's going on. Plus, crime was coming up and everything. Gangsta rap was dominating stuff, and then so when so by the time I graduated elementary, I went to Stewart Middle, and I'll never forget the first week, man. You got kids that was rough. Anytime you put Project Black kid with black suburban kids, of course you got, the whites and stuff like that. It did so to me. So it was like I had to tone myself down because I thought in my mind as a 12-year-old, like, okay, well, every school is like this, not necessarily.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
I told my buddy Darnell, I said, you know what, dude? We can't be who we are. We had to be a little rough, say rough but gruff, say. So that's when I never forget that day, man. I got rid of all of my, colorful clothes, and then I toned it down, started wearing black shirts and everything, So we had our own little crew. So it was like, okay, it's 5 of okay, that's all good, like we got 10 of us. Okay, you got 10, that's cool, we got 20. So and back then it was like you had to be tough, but deep down inside, I knew that that wasn't really me. So kids think that that when they got it rough now, nah, you didn't survive it nights like I did. But one thing for sure that I never got to fights, but maybe I'd say like twice. But I was always ready. You know what I'm saying? But it pretty much prepared me to deal with society later on in the future, and stuff like that. Majority of the kids I went to school with in middle school, half of them, got murdered, beginning of their adult years and everything. You hear a
Yeah.
little so I remember one day I went to the mall, I was like 20 years old. There's a dude that I beat up in high school, and he got killed like a year after I graduated high school.
Wow.
Yeah, man. When you make your own privacy of life, what you put out there in a negative way, what you get in return. So yeah, it was wild, man.
Did those moments or feels ever discourage you in your path? And if they did, what did you do to overcome that?
Oh, you know what? It didn't like what's that? You know what? I was always alert, but I never let it affect me mentally because I know for a fact that I just know that I had to move different. And see, back in those days, you know how it was like, when you fight somebody, back then with no guns, you fight somebody, you got respect, everybody move on. And the people I got into it, not saying I call myself a badass, not like that though, but just the point of there was a matter of respect. So if you got to do it, you deal with, the whole crew. So, that's how it was, and the way things are now, I couldn't see myself being a teenager now and doing all these shenanigans, man.
Yes,
I tell you,
it's a
man.
lot. It's a lot going
And
on.
yeah, because you think about it, back then, the mental health, that's where it started. It's like if you father for the first time and you got a son, if you give your son $500 to hold, you take a picture, you have him take a picture, then you actually create a generational curse.
Yeah.
And if you keep promoting that as you get older, ain't no telling how he's gonna come out. you know, and you better hope that he gets, grows out of it. Like, you know what, Dad, I hear you, man, but I ain't trying to be like you, dog. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
For
So,
real. Gotta break
yeah,
that. You gotta break that pattern. Gotta break that
got to
pattern.
break that, you know. So, for me, I had a balance, because I came from the hood, but at the same time, I knew how to handle, those type of situations. So I was ready for whatever was coming towards my way, So I had both foots in both parts, but I didn't let it discourage me. So I fought out of that by the time I got like maybe 16, 17 years old.
Gotcha. Gotcha. And was that around the time that you picked up photography?
Yeah, around that time. Yeah. So what happened was, big shouts to Shanika. I don't know where she's at. I ain't seen her, man, like in 22 years. So she knew that everybody knew me from the neighborhood. I used to do like design pictures and stuff like that. So I did design artwork for this one lady. She was a hairdresser, and God rest her soul, she's no longer around. Her name was Kia Jones. She used to braid my hair. So at the time, braids was a thing back then and stuff. And then from there, like when she found out that I do design, she said, "Hey, look, I got an uncle. He's a promoter, and I can hook you up with him. He needs somebody to design the pictures." So around that time, he saw my artwork, and I met them over at the house and stuff. And he said, "Hey man, this is you right here." I said, "Yeah, this is me." I said, "I ain't got nobody help me out." You know what I'm saying? So after that, he said, "Okay." He said, "I'm gonna come pick you up. You gonna roll with me." He said, "You can bring your mom and stuff. I know she'll know me like that, And the first concert was New Edition came in town. This would home again. This would New Edition just came back around '96 around that time.
Okay.
So I put the flyers together. I think I made maybe like 300. Said I had a printed out and everything, had it set up. Then plus I was getting paid like do the meet and greet. So like you take a picture with the artist, I take a picture, with for you and give it to get that picture straight to you and stuff. So that was my job. So and I never forget my first pay was $500. And back then I couldn't cash no checks. So he was like, "Well, you know what? Since you're not 18, I'm gonna go ahead and just give you $500 and stuff a piece, So you get back to a teenager back then.
He was balling. He was
Yeah,
good.
I was balling, man. Because all thing I think about was like Carl Kanai, Tommy Hilfiger, all these clothes I've been wanting to die for to get. So I come to school like, yeah, I'm the motherfucking man. What's up? You know what I'm saying? So, and that was my thing. Like once I kept my hair brand, had fresh clothes, bought like some snacks. That's all I cared about, And then like from there, man, I was the way he told me, man, recipes of Casey Duncanson, he said, "Look, he said, I ain't gonna kick no bullshit to you. That's my time I was got like 17 years old. He said, enjoy this moment, but whatever you do, don't focus on what's going on out there. You focus on what's going on behind the scenes. So that way you'll know the business of it." He said the problem with majority of men and women of all ages, he said, they so focused on wanting to be seen so bad that they delude themselves to forget like how to handle paperwork, how to handle care self as a businessman. Because there was even groupies back then. Even though there weren't no social media, but yeah, we had a lot of groupies of all ages there. And to see, black women act like the way you do it, man, I'm like, yo, I don't want to, man, be like that. That's embarrassing. So yeah, it's sad.
And it seemed from what you're saying, you had your head on your shoulders real tightly. Well, was there ever a moment where you I don't want to say slipped or got big headed, but was there ever a moment that you got distracted by the opportunities that could fall in front of you?
Oh yeah, yeah. Man, one time, I was about like, I was 22, and man, I was feeling myself hard. I had my own, radio show and stuff. And I used to, my show at the time I was doing hip hop, so it was called Mr. Hip Hop Effect at Night. So that was the online radio stuff. And shout out to the cat named Walter Jones who set that up and stuff. I ain't seen him in a long time. And that ran for like a couple of years, but at the beginning of it, man, I was acting cocky, dissing people, talking about, man, I'm the man, damn all that other stuff. And the embarrassing moment is like when I got dissed, I felt stupid. So that humbled me big time. So I was like, I'm not gonna go back and forth and argue. That was a learning lesson. When I say I was better than B96 and everything, man, everybody in my mama was clowning me bad, man.
Man,
And I don't know, man. It wasn't planned. It just came out of nowhere. So yeah, when I think about that, sometimes I cringe. I said, man, what the hell was I smoking on, man? I wish I could have stopped my old self back then, but that was the only time really, man, that I act like that.
I get that, and that's normal. And the reason why I asked it because there's a lot of artists on, and I know sometimes they get into those situations and they feel one way now, and
Yeah.
sometimes they act otherwise. Was that also the moment where you started dabbling into marketing and promoting other artists?
Yeah, because around that time, I was seeing how the advertisement was going. Because back then, we didn't have no social media, so I would see, promoters and artists, they was putting money. This is where we had like, was it Inside Digital was a thing back then, the cable had
Yes.
like a little packages and stuff. So, and back then, when when I was working for the radio company and stuff, so whatever artists I was promoting at the time, I put in, I tell, okay, for this marketing, say your submissions to $150 and they'll pay it to get marketed, whatever how it goes from there. And back then, I can tell artists is make sure that, you get promoted or break your CDs because if you get paid a couple of dollars at the show, even if it's only even if y'all perform for free, breaking CDs, at least you're coming out with some money. Because
Yes.
if your song is good to them, you're like, hey man, yo, dude, like I want to hear that song. So you gotta stay ready to be ready, man. So for me, I was helping artists, man, selling CDs out the truck, be right front of a record store. Man, I was making flyers. I was doing all that stuff, man. So anybody that knew me from Little Kentucky, man, I was putting that work in for like a lot of years and stuff. So that's how my name got out there. I mean, regardless of some of these artists, careers did last for different situations though, but I stay consistent and stuff. So that say
Important.
pretty much build me up to how I am now.
You obviously got to see the game of marketing and promotion before the internet and before social media and now. And I just got a question from someone who dabbled in that. Between then and now, what are the pluses and the negatives you see in this game today?
You know what? The difference between now and then, it was a struggle because like you could sit here and say all the right things, and it be all people be like, yeah, yeah, like yeah, sometimes beauty shops and barber shops will allow you to take the posters, put it over there, give them cards and stuff like that. And it was always a hit and miss. It was a struggle, man. A lot like throughout the whole 2000s. I ain't gonna sit here and lie to you, And only time you have success is when something. It depends on the artist. If somebody that's well known, then that's the easy pass. Somebody's independent, but like, man, nah, that guy might be trash, and they don't want to take a chance and stuff. So that became the issue. But when social media came in, man, I said, oh yeah, it's on now. So I was ready.
You was ready.
So that way I could give you both the best of both worlds. But for me back then, I was telling people that okay, this artist vocally, they can hang with this artist. I'm not talking about the success. I'm talking about singing wise
Yeah.
and the sound and everything. So that was my vision to make sure these, independent artists get, exposure. So that was my goal back there.
Nice, nice, nice. And you were most definitely successful in your mission.
Yeah.
Now, I know there was a time that you went back into school for business. Was that for school for business?
Yeah, I went to JCC and stuff. And at that time, when I was about like 28 years old, times was changing. Then I started getting burnt out to like promote, artists and stuff, because at that time, I mean, no offense to rap artists, nobody want to build. R&B singers, they want to build to a certain extent.
Yeah.
But and then that's when I started realizing that R&B, actually pays than it does hip hop, no lie and stuff. But when I went to JCC in 2010, I went there for like 2 years, and I graduated, and like from there, I was like, I said, okay, no, I stopped. Then I came back in 2013 to finish up and stuff
Okay.
like that. So yeah, because I was trying to see where my mind was at. Here I was. I just now became a father. I was just now stepping into my 30s and trying to figure out what direction I want to be at. But I did it so that I could learn, more of, the business end of it. And if I want to run my own business, learn how to do the LLC and everything, man. So yeah,
Which is
so
very instrumental. I know there's a lot of artists who say like I don't need to go to school. I could go to YouTube University and your information is
yeah,
this
work like that.
I was just going to ask you that for someone
Yeah.
who actually took those steps, what would you say to an individual who says, "Oh, I could just learn it this way"?
Yeah, hey, good luck on that one. Because understand this, you gonna have cat, gonna be on social media. They're gonna tell you this much. They're gonna tell you how they got it. So you got people ain't gonna tell you how they got monetized, which you gotta have 10K followers. So they're not gonna tell you, you need an LLC, which you need to learn. You gonna say the steps, to when it comes to that. They gonna tell you, as far as like how you get your name padded, trademark, and all that. You know what I'm saying? So that's why these YouTubers, man, they're like kind of like scam artists. And so they gonna sell you a dream. You know what I'm saying? It's like if a guy that is a pimp and this girl she's wrong, she thinking that, well, he likes me. Actually, he's pimping you out. He gonna sell you hope and a dream, but your ass better be about a quarter by 8 o'clock. You know what I'm saying? So that's the real truth. You know what I'm saying? But for me, is that, because what it is, some people mechanically, they see what you're doing all the time. They think that, oh my God, that's easy. It doesn't work like that.
Thank you.
When people see me do a podcast, all of a sudden everybody want to do a podcast. For one, it's a skill that's born, saying that you're born into it.
That's
you
true.
just can't sit here and talk about, oh yeah, I'm on the same level as Rashad Ali. No, the hell you ain't. You got to put 29 motherfucking years there to get to this point. I'm sorry. It doesn't work like that. Because my thing like this, that's why God made us so unique, because we all built different of avenues. Now everybody can sing, rap, dance, do graffiti art, or anything. So everyone is built different. So it doesn't work like that, But if we was all the same, this whole world would be boring. I tell you.
Yeah,
that's true. Kick no bullshit, man.
So I know you had a found understanding of the business. You went and got a little bit more of your studies, and then you went back into your core of the hosting and developing. And how was that transition with all the information that you started to gather, going in back into that deep root core line of hosting and show running?
Yeah, because what happened was at the time I was like 32 going on 33, I thought to myself, I said, man, you know what I want to do with my life? And I got burnt out doing hip hop. I didn't want to go back to that because I see what the direction was going at with the internet and everything else. So I was like, I don't want to be like Breakfast Club and Hip Hop DX and all other crap. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go to R&B because I feel like as a black man, I can correct some stories that need to be corrected.
Nice.
And then all these little narratives talking about R&B is dead. And
I was just about to ask you that, but continue. Go ahead.
Yeah. And then my thing was like, highlight stories of what a black artist done. Because I hate when a lot of times when an artist, it's one thing you got success on the R&B chart. But you ever notice when it comes to the Hot 100, it's like they would treat an artist like they mediocre or they're one-hit wonder. Yeah. How the hell can an artist be mediocre? Like, prime example. Here it is. Stevie Wonder got 20 number one R&B hits. You don't focus on that, but you focus on the pop side. Even though Michael Jackson got 13 number one pop hits, but he got 13 number one R&B hits. Nobody ever talks about that. Freddie Jackson got 10 number one R&B hits. Nobody don't say shit about that. And that's the part I hate about this. So for me, I didn't see no person of myself of color that had an R&B page. And no offense to other races, I don't want to come out racist, but I hate when somebody that's opposite race telling me what R&B is about. First of all, it came from us, by us, for us. You're just a guest in the house. Because understand that if us black people never existed, what did they have? Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
No.
But a damn father, some damn ranks. That's it. That's all they got.
You hitting it on the nose.
It's like you like a flavor, like a style, but you're not there for the cause. Like I told this white guy from Switzerland, and I said, black music, America, it's American music, which is true. And this motherfucker gonna tell me, well, actually came from Africa. I said, first of all, I don't need a white man to tell me, saying what it is today. Now, I can tell you a lot about your race. So let's not go there. So I think you need to stay in your white man's place. My parents tore his ass up, man. They tore his ass like fireworks, man. Straight up. So. I can't stand that, man.
You mentioned R&B was dead. Like, people were saying that. When you started to really dabble and focus in on the R&B concept and the culture of that, was your look received well from people? Did you face ridicule and people like, yo, you bugging? I don't think that's gonna work. And how was that? Because I could imagine the conversations on that part.
Woo! I tell you, man. It's funny, man, because like when the beginning, at the time when my company used to be called RnB Talk Show TV before I changed the name to RnB Talk Show, And I remember, man, I would post certain stuff, and it'd be the artists from back in the day talking about, man, they washed up, they ain't got like that. So then I called these fans out. I said, now, how the hell can you sit here trying to say this artist trash? But yeah, instead, if they come to your town, your ass will ask for an autograph of the picture.
There
How
you
can
go.
R&B be dead? You go to a family cookout, birthday, weddings, one of these hole the wall clubs, and all these other places. They play R&B music everywhere.
That's real.
You know, you see families coming together doing a soul train line. How came R&B's dead? It's not dead. Now, I will say this. Now, there's a handful of artists, and big shouts to those that keep their sound going. You know, of how the Janet Jacksons, the Stevie Wonders, and everybody done it. Now, as far as the artists of today, now as far as the other side of the fence, you got artists, man, that's like tone deaf. That's not R&B. When it became a time when you start seeing R&B singers cussing their record, you know, it's like, you know, like a prime example. I'm not gonna mention one lady's name, but why do every single song, every single album has to be a breakup record? I'm
Yeah.
thinking to myself, like, who was the brother did your ass wrong?
Yeah.
Get over that. Like you said that shit 10 hours ago, man. We in a new era, man. So I hate that, man. So that's why I say that it's sad that women and young men that's signed to these distribution labels, they all being pimped. Because everybody
Yeah.
thinking that, well, I gotta say this, I gotta talk like this, I gotta look a certain way just to blend it. You had to do none of that shit, man. You know what I'm saying? R&B supposed to represent class and style. You know, not trash and flash ass. That's not what it's about. You know, it's like you never see Mary J. Blige, you never see Janet Jackson, you never see Patti LaBelle, all of them twerking and cursing in their records.
Yeah. No, you're
You
right.
know, like they might be edgy as far as like how they dress and stuff, but at the same time, you know, there was a respect line. There was a respect line towards the enemy. So yeah, you know, I hate that, man.
Yeah, no, I 100% feel you. I always crack a joke and say, you know, it's not coming from the soul; it's coming from the throat. Like you just talking, you just talking. You know what I'm saying? You don't feel it from in here, man. Even when they hold a note, there was a time you could feel like, yo, you really embodying what you're saying, and now people are just saying what they saying.
Just like what's it? Okay, it's one thing we pray Jeffrey Oswald in solo music. When people play the LTD music, when he was with the group, everybody was singing to you.
Yeah.
You know, like that song, like "Where Did We Go Wrong?" You know, he said, "What is wrong with us? With love, how can we fix it?" You know, like the system. I mean, lyrics. It was like a rapper spit bars. You know, like when the system said, "Pay attention. Are you listening? You're my favorite girl." Excuse me for the moment. I'm just at a loss of words. You know, if that don't make a woman feel good, I don't know what to say.
What's going on?
Exactly. A woman with common sense would love that. You know. But if you talk about some jerk stuff, they'd be like, "What the hell is this? It's not music." So that's why I say that we gotta do better, man. We don't see when it comes to that.
We do. Now, for a person who's very in tune and understand the culture of R&B, from your perspective, what you think? I don't want to say what went wrong, but what disturbed that market of R&B, which has everybody going, talking about something completely off base?
Well, you know what? It all started like around like the mid-90s with Warner Brothers and other labels. When they started firing the R&B departments, that's what killed R&B. When hip-hop was already dominated from the West Coast, and here it is, during the midst of the Tupac and Biggie height of it and everything, you know, when these labels got rid of the R&B departments, where they replaced for pop departments and rock departments, which that shit didn't go no damn where.
Yeah.
It hurt at R&B, you know, as the years went by, you know, and people try to figure out, man, why this artist ain't around no more? If people look at the interviews, every single artist from Unsung through these podcasts and radio, they will tell you, like Tracy Spears, like Tevin Campbell, it was like when they came in one day, they got rid of all the R&B departments. The stores was like, the buildings was like shut down, everything. On the other side was pop. And my thing like this, you know, that's why these labels be found for bankruptcy and all kinds of crap. It's like you could keep, you know, like you could create a pop R&B department, but at the same time keep the R&B there because you could make more money that's coming in. You know what I'm saying? Like you got the pop side, R&B side, country side, rock side, and all that. But they did that to really destroy our artists because they didn't want it because they had a mission to get rid of love out of music. That was their plan.
Yeah.
You know, and that hurted a handful of people, you know, and it's sad, you know, and artists in these messed up contracts and everything and stuff. So I don't blame these artists who want to be independent because who wants to go through that?
Yeah.
You know, as far as hip hop, look what happened to these rappers. You know, they have been killed back to back ever since the first DJ that killed in '86 with KRS was right here,
Scott
man.
LaRock.
Yeah, Scott LaRock. And fast forward to the 90s, it come Easy, Tupac, and Big, and everybody. Yeah, you know, said because they figured that, you know, there's a money chain. I could just, you know, tell the artists, yeah, do this, and I'm gonna go ahead and destroy you.
Yeah.
You know, and it's sad, you know, it's like that, you know, and that, you know, that's why I say for any artist, don't sign these labels, you know, get your own distribution, you know, saying, you know, whatever comes out of it, at least you learn that.
I like
You know, so
that's great
good.
advice, and you
Yeah.
said a key word. You know, you said that the industry, they took away the love from the music by dismantling
Yep.
it, and the
Yep.
music industry took a big part in how R&B has kind of withered to the side. What do you think artists are doing wrong in this day and age towards the music?
Yeah, well, you know what it is though. A lot of times, these artists of today that's doing music, they think in their mind like, "Well, I gotta say this, I gotta fit in, you know, to talk a certain way." You don't have to do all that. Like, I'm gonna give a prime example. Like, and I hate to put the names out there. Like, when it comes to like Aonis, when it comes to like Queen Aja, when it comes to all these other artists, they all do the same thing,
Dang.
man. It's like you gotta be different. It's like, for example, Nita Baker had her own flavor. Nobody ever copied off of her. Tony Braxton had her own flavor. Mary J. Blige, Janet Jackson, Jody Wiley, Vanessa Williams, they all had their own flavor and style. Some stories might be similar, but that everything was the same.
Yeah,
And I hate them because, you know, those type of women, like, you know, like SZA and all them, they won't get a Rock and Hall of Fame. And it's bad too. I hate to say it because you never hear somebody on today's song, and that album was a classic. You would never hear that. They won't even get Hall of Fame awards. You know, I hate to say it because, you know, anybody can have a hit. If your music don't stick, there's a problem. If a child that's 3 years old and that's into your music, there's a problem.
there's a problem.
That's a problem right there, you know what I'm saying? And back then, you know, you had parents that was comfortable enough to play the music around kids compared to what you see now, you know, and stuff, you know. And it's sad because it's become more like a handicap thing because if you think about it, the way black women dress like now, it's like to come out of the strip club.
Yeah,
You know, it's like, why you need a rainbow coalition of wigs and stuff just to say you a bad bitch? You ain't got to do all that. Be yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You ain't got to do all that. You know, it's like, we don't need another sexy red. We don't need none of that. You know what I'm saying? We need you. You are the truth. And it's not a diss, but this is a prime example. You know, stuff we see all the time. And I hate stuff like that happens.
Do you think social media plays a big part in
Oh, yeah.
perpetuating this mentality and the vibe and so forth?
It does.
And I would love to hear what do you think could help it?
Well, what would help is that, you know, we need more big names to really, you know, I'll tell you, though, if we had the people from that's still around to this day, I wish they would come together, get on the internet, make it more a common effect. You know, I wish women like from like the 80s, 90s, and the 70s would come together and start making multiple videos and talk about, you know, the state of how women dress, how they carry themselves, you know. And it's sad though, because like, for example, like you see some black women that's like 45, 50 years old trying to compete with a 19, 24-year-old,
Yeah.
you know, wearing all these skimpy clothes. Now, my thing like this, when it comes to that, you can dress like that at home with your man. But when you doing that, basically, you know, whoever your parent is, they failed you, and you got kids, your grandparents, you failed them as well. Because when that generation curse keeps steamrolling each decade,
Yeah.
it becomes a problem. You know, and that's where the crime starts. That's where the prostitution starts. It continues on, you know, because it's like one time I had a girl told me, she said, well, I got dressed like it because sex sells. You have to do all that. That's why I bet when Queen Latifah was talking about ladies first, you know, and then when like when Salt Pepper talking about respect, even some of the R&B singers, you know what I'm saying? Because, prime example, like, okay, it was like Aretha Franklin, she was the hardest song of black women in the 70s. Nita Baker was the hardest song for black women that was in their 20s and their 30s that was going through relationships and all that stuff. You know, she helped them out. The Emerging Blonde was the hardest song women in the 90s. But in reality, you know, it's like, you know, the record labels, they don't want you to have substance in the music.
Yeah.
You know, they weren't talking about this trash on the radio. You know, it's bad. It's like it. You know, like if I was an R&B singer, if I was trying to get signed and stuff, they're like, well, sorry, Rashad, man, but you can't talk this way. You got to talk like that. For one, I got a black mother. I got a black daughter. I got a black sister. I got black nieces. I can't see myself as a black man, you know, talking records about a black woman for what? You know, I mean, like, what am I gaining? I'm not gaining nothing by doing that. And it's sad, though, because you start seeing women talking about, oh, yeah, I'm a bitch. I'm a hoe. I'm a freak.
Yeah.
Wait, I mean, that's not cool, but you get mad if somebody be like, hey, what's up, girl? You know what I'm saying, man? Fuck that bitch. Who you calling a bitch?
Yeah, like you just
You
called
get,
yourself that.
yeah. You be okay with a rapper, you know what I'm saying? But when it comes to average dude, that's not okay.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, man, you know, there's, you know, because I'm going to tell you that what really kicked that in, it was like, we think about like people like Luke that started that.
Yeah.
You hear about Little Kim and all that, man. It became a trade record at a time when music was classy to a certain extent. And we see all that, you be like, what the hell is this? So really, those early elements kickstarted what it is today.
The snowball effect.
Yeah, because that's how Nicki Minaj got her style from Little Kim. You know, that's how, you know, all these other rappers got their style from there. You know, you look at Chicago. I mean, my God, man.
Chicago is hard,
man, it's like putting Compton, Watts, and all the girls that rapped in one.
Yeah,
you know,
Vietnam.
Yeah, Vietnam. Like, okay, like you gotta have dreads and you gotta look like you have there like it just to fit in. Come on, man. And it's sad too. You got 10, you got kids like 10, 12, 13 years old getting popped.
Yeah.
It's bad, man.
It is.
You know, I never seen it like it, man.
It is sad because the power of music, you know, has so much of an influence on us, and it doesn't always have to be negative, but what gets pushed, you know, the narratives and the agendas that get pushed, and a lot of our younger artists fall into that. I want to pause right there, and I want to take a time to really highlight you. You really got the time to sit down with some of our legends that made so much musical bliss and put so much positive energy into the air. I want to talk a little bit about that. When was like that first interview that you was wild? Like, I can't believe I just spoke to this individual.
Oh, man. Man, it's been so many moments. I'd say the first time I did, it had to be after 7.
After 7.
You know, as far as on a star status, after 7, because it was like, it's one thing you see a celebrity, you know, like and stuff, leave a comment, but just to talk to, you know, the rhythm members, Kavon and Keith, I was like, wow, man, you know, I was just like so mind blowing up, and you know, but I knew that I had to really get into character, you know, as far as like on social media, because like you see them on TV, and then, you know, to see them in person, like, wow, man, that's like the wildest dreams ever had, man. And I was like, I can say I was starstruck, but I knew I had to get into character, you know, from there. You know, I said, man, like, let me go ahead and turn it on. And I gave after 7 their flowers. I said, man, listen, if it was for you guys back in 2017, nobody never knew who I was. You guys put me on the map. So I thank you for doing that, you know, and they said, no problem, man. You know what I'm saying? Because, like, they didn't have to make a flyer and tell everybody, hey, man, you know, follow this brother here. He's doing good, this and that. So when that motivated me, I said, you know what? If I ever meet them, I'm going to thank them some type of way, you know. Then it may be more consistent, you know, from there. So, you know, I you know, honor them. And that's what led to, like, Jody Wiley, Jimmy Dan Taylor, as far as, like, people following and stuff like that. But, yeah, after 7, though, was definitely the highlight, I could say. You know, after that, just kept getting bigger.
Nice. And like earlier I mentioned, I know you're peaking at about 500.
Yeah.
And I believe it's more, because there's a lot that's off record and a whole bunch, but we're gonna stick to the 500. Brother, how do you do it? How do you stay consistent? How is it done?
You know, like what I learned from my earlier days doing online radio is that, you know, people, you know, it's like when it comes to podcasts online, it's like PRs watch, managers watch. It's one thing you got artists to watch, and that's cool. But sometimes artists might be disconnect, so they trust their PR and their manager to study how a person is. So for me, you know, my thing was like, you know, I'm not worried about myself. What I'm going to do, I focus on the viewer, so that way they get a chance to know these individuals, you know, about their careers from the past, present, and to where they are now in their lives. So I focus on them, so that way they get more insight of what they think they know, but they don't know. So, you know, and I break down stuff that is not even in the bio. So I'm like a mechanic. So I just break down every detail of it. So, and I noticed that when I first interviewed Raheem Devon, that was my first celebrity interview back in like the fall of 2019. And then, man, I tell you, man, like from there, when I interviewed Raheem Devon, man, I kept getting hit up left and right with PRs and managers and stuff, and it just went from there. So that's when I knew I had something going. But the thing about, and what do you interview a celebrity, but you got to know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Just don't bring somebody famous on it because they got a name and stuff. You got to know what you're talking about, because the more you grind, the more you perfect your craft, that's when the word gets out. So I wouldn't have those many interviews if I knew what I was doing.
That's true.
And to be the only person probably got more interviews than everybody within like about 6 years short, that's saying something. So
this says a lot. This says a lot.
Yeah, and the word of mouth gets out because the more they see flyers of different celebrities, they be like, what is it about this platform I got to see? Because my thing was this, was like, it's one thing you see me posting the history of an artist. I got to make sure that matches what I'm talking about in person when I'm interviewing whoever it is. So, and for me, I ain't got time to be nervous or like that. Once I'm in that character, man, it's on, man. So, cause my thing like this, I know I'm ready. The guests, they got to stay ready.
They got to stay ready.
So, yeah.
You're a man with great expression. I do see the humbleness. For the viewers out there, could you just say some of the names of your favorite interviews so they could just get a taste of the caliber of host that you are?
Yeah, the thing, for me, like when people say, man, you bring so much of Donnie Simpson, Dr. this at our City Hall, especially Donnie Simpson. I hear Donnie Simpson a lot. And my thing was, I didn't want to be like him. I'm inspired by him because he made me who I am, Because, like, if I was not interested in none of those, I don't think I would have got that far. But the way I do as far as interviews, like, say, like, you're an artist, it's one thing I do with albums and stuff like that. We talk about the new music first, then we get to your history, then go from there, you know what I'm saying? Because so that way people get a chance to know who you are. No matter if you're an old school artist or new school, you know what I'm saying? Or somebody's been around for like 10 years, you know what I'm saying? What they call it, seasoned artist. So for me, I break down layers of you, then I might say stuff like, what will your ATO self, I mean, as far as like what type of advice will you get your old ATO self? So for me, I get inside their head. That's how I do it.
It's funny you said that because that's the only question that we ask every guest on this show. So we're gonna be asking you that shortly.
That's cool.
We're gonna be asking you that shortly. Was there ever a time we hear stories of people? They say you meet your legend and then you're disappointed, and you don't have to say any names. But was there ever a moment that you came across someone that you looked up to or you marveled over and appreciated, and the moment you got to talk to them, you were like, man, this is not what I was expecting?
Ooh, you know what? I'm glad you said it though, because this happened to me 2 different times in my life. I know one time. It was back in 2014, and so this cat asked me, to do some stuff for him. He paid me some money to get some shows set. Now, as far as like the meet and greet set and stuff like that, I said, okay, cool. So this one lady who she's a rap legend, for like the late '80s, and it's funny how you sit there and tell us, to celebrate your life as a black man, as a black, as a black woman, fight the power. And I understand you're a vegan, but I ain't got nothing to do with that shit. So that's like, I ain't no shit. I don't cook that. So what happened was her and her publicist, they was together and stuff. And then as I got her finished up at the table, and I say, hey, how you doing? My name's Rashad Ali. So I've been a fan of yours since '89 and stuff like that. She came to me talking about, did you talk about PR? I said, I'm talking to you. I was asked for a picture, and that was a wake-up call. Let me know, okay, yeah, don't go for the okie dokie. And I remember when KC told me that because he hit home. So, and then after that, she was like, I think she want to say something to me, and I was like, nah, I'm good, But I know for a fact we will run into each other down the road, and I will bring that up to you, saying don't to don't, But and she lost my respect on that. But that let me know that that everybody you idolize, is what you think it is, So that's the sad part about it. So that's what made me. I say, I talk to myself. I say, Rashad, you are a businessman. You're not a civilian. You've been in this business since 1996. All that fan stuff went out the fucking window.
Yep.
You're a businessman. So that's why from that point on, I started carrying myself differently. Like every time I meet an artist in person or talking on the phone or whatever, I'm business mode. All that, oh my God, I don't give a damn about none of that shit. You know what I'm saying? So for me, it's like, it's time for some action. That's how I am, because I want them to be excited and ready. So I'm glad they got my respect from that. And then another one from a boy band, and with him, I was disappointed. I'm thinking to myself like, now, like, you reached out to me, and I started noticing a shift change was happening. I'm not going to explain it all because people that they know this person's history, but I was disappointed in him because my thing is like, dude, I've been a fan of you, dude, since I can remember since I was like 7, 8 years old. And as a black man, you're supposed to be. And that's the problem with a lot of artists like that, when they win awards and get platinum and gold or whatever success, they tune out, forget who they are as a person. You have to do all that. I just might piss you off, United States of mind, but be humble, because if once fans, you won't be able to continue to have shows today. So so like when he want me to do business with him, and I told him, I said, look, dude, I don't know what your wife going on. I'm not been entertaining all that. So when it got like around 2016, I was like, man, you know what, I'm good. I just call it that.
I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah, go ahead.
I know as a host, and when things and your momentum started picking up and things started getting bright, you started getting reached out by many different type of artists that are on the up and coming, people looking for promo. What are some of the wrong things that people do when approaching people that are doing their thing like yourself?
You know what? I tell you, man, I swear, like, as long as I've been doing this RnB page, man, from like, I want to say like from 2017 up to like 2022, I've had folks hit me up talking about, oh man, like your platform, man, like, let's get on this company. I'm a businessman, I've been in this game for a long time. I know what's full of bullshit. Yeah, I know what. Hey, so you can't sit here and try to kick me like I'm so rookie, like I'm dumb and diggy. Like, don't let this, nice guy fool you, because I can throw it out the window. But it has its perks, because like every time, man, I could talk about, breaking news of an artist passing away, and there'd be fans be all in their feelings. I'm like, look, I get it, where y'all coming from, but I don't go to Google and do my research of who died. I get phone calls from like certain friends I know working at a news company. That PRs reach out to me. The artists that's kin to their relatives are the artists themselves say, hey man, my so-and-so died, you can post this, and stuff. So, and it's sad that it's like you have to continue to explain that. I get it, because one, I'm not TMZ. I'm there showing how we'll unlock neighborhood talk, none of that. They do their part, I can do my part too as well. Yeah. So that's why big shout out to the fans, they trust me, because I'm gonna tell the truth. Straight up, and then with all these deaths that happened from January, February to like here we are in March. And I said this on Instagram. I said, I hope there's a wake-up call for you all to really pay attention to what's going on with you. Because God trying to tell you something. You don't know them personally, but God trying to wake you all up. So
there's a message in that.
Yeah, it's a message in that, man. So it has its perks. And every time, man, I could interview an artist, and there'd be a fan want to bring up some controversy of that person or whatever. And like when I interviewed Chris Keys, for a prime example, and a guy broke up with the whole Tyler Perry thing, and Christian Keys got fired up, and I banned a person off there, and I was like, boy, here we go, So if you certain people I interview, you suspect that. And my thing is, you can ask the PR Miss B, big shouts to her, is that I'm not here to entertain what you've done in your personal life. I focus on your artistry. I focus on the things you achieve.
Yeah.
All the other stuff ain't got nothing to do with me. So, hey, that's between you and God on that one.
Like I mentioned earlier, there's only one question, because we run this platform in conversation base, but there's only one question that we ask every individual talent that come on the show, and that's with everything that you know now and all your experiences and everything that you gain. If you could look back at the younger Rashad and say something to yourself, what would that be?
Oh man, I'll tell myself, don't listen to everybody telling you these false stories. When somebody say that you can't do it, you go for it. So you stick to your guns, but make sure you pay attention because that every advice is good advice. You
That,
know, when you have a hunch like something ain't right, make sure you really stay focused because tomorrow's not promising. You live for the now, not for yesterday, even the past. You focus on the future. You got a bright future coming up. You're gonna have some bumps and bruises down the road, but it's a learned lesson. So you're here for a reason, not for a season. And everybody's your friends. So keep your circle small. Just go to work, play video games, and call it a day. You know what I'm saying? But you're gonna be proud because you know what? I'm proud of you because look at the man you are today. You'll say you're a father. You've been on different magazines. You got a chance to see the world. You got a chance to do a lot of stuff in your lifetime. So you get started, man. So you have to prove nothing. Let your work do the talking.
let your work do the talking. I love
Yeah,
that. That's the mic drop right there. I love that part right there.
damn skippy.
We got a few artists on, and I know on Apple TV, Google TV, there's tons of artists that are watching it right now who can't make any comments or be on the live per se.
Yeah,
But if you could share something to the artists and the creatives out there on what they can do to maximize their exposure in platforms like yourself or others that you
sure.
see that they're not doing, what would that be?
My advice to these upcoming artists that make sure your hashtag stay consistent. Invest into your brand. That's the key too. A lot of times you got cats that get online, they was give you all these false hope stories and lots of bunch of baloney. Stay committed to your craft. When somebody tell you, "Hey, bro, look, dude, you're not gonna make it, man. Drop that. Don't believe in all that crap." Because the thing is, God put you in a position for a reason. Your call is to do what you do. Say if you love what you do, go for it. Because for one, music doesn't have an age limit. It
That's
you
right.
know do what we doing, do what I'm doing does not have an age limit. Because one, when you season in this business, you see how far you was back then. You're like, wow, man. Look how it was from early beginnings to now. Because when I first got started, nobody didn't believe in me. But I didn't give a two rat's ass about that because I knew for a fact I knew where I was going at.
That's right. That's right.
So when you build for success, you'd be surprised how it goes. So for me, I love being independent because I don't follow nobody's rules. I respect the business. I can't respect those that sit here and try to pinpoint and put dents into it. So yeah, but also too, especially when you're African American, don't trust everybody's judgment. And when people hit you with stuff, take your time to do your homework. Don't be so gullible. Because anybody can say tell you, oh yeah, I used to work for Motel, I did this and that. Don't go for none of that.
Yeah.
Do your research. Stay independent. If you're an artist, get a distribution. Don't go to Atlantic. Don't go to Death Jail, Death Row, whatever. Stay consistent to what you're doing because I'm telling you, you're gonna look back and be like, thank God, man, I ain't never messed with Donald Square. Because I mean, true enough, we all want $1 million, we all want a Grammys, but trust me, everything's gonna pay off. Stick to your guns. You know what I'm saying? Because those who respect you, they believe you, they want to see you win. That's your award. That's your platinum plaque. So yeah,
Right. Work. You gotta put in the work.
you got to put in work, man. You know what I'm saying? And because for me, I motivate myself. Because those 29 years, 29 journeys got me where I'm at today. So that little, I mean, like that skinny kid with braids had a vision back then. And he knew what he was looking forward to. So whenever I look back, like, damn, I did a whole lot. And that'd be stuff I never forgot. I was like, hey, man, you remember you did the red carpet thing? I'm like, dang, oh, yeah, I forgot I interviewed that person. So, yeah, man. So I'm blessed, man. I can't even complain, man, straight up.
I wanna stop the music real quick, and I wanna take this time. I know we're in the era of giving out our flowers. On this platform, we like to give our honor because flowers do die, but honor lives forever. And I want to just take this time to highlight you for keeping the culture of what we know of R&B. I heard you mention the history, so you deep dive into it all, and not only your respect for it, but your love to give those the platform to speak and keep the generation of the culture of it going and insightful. So I want to take that time to salute you for adding to the culture of it all and allowing us to have these places where our legacy acts can come and still maintain and speak on their legacy. Salute to you, my brother. I don't.
Appreciate it,
I
man.
know you know how powerful that is, but I just want to remind you that is a very powerful and needed thing to
Yeah, I
do
appreciate that.
in this day and age. Is most definitely needed. So we just wanted to take that time to give you your honor, your honor.
Man,
So,
I appreciate that. Man, I appreciate that.
so
You know.
what's next for you?
Oh
I
man,
know it never ends. It never ends. I could
it,
tell.
it never
I could.
is, man. Yeah, yeah.
What's in
You
the
know,
works?
for me, I'm going to be expanding. The RnB Talk Show. As much I love, feel like as much I love Instagram and all that, but it's time to expand the brand. You know what I'm saying, and stuff. So, and I will be have my platforms on different outlets and stuff like that. Say YouTube TV and working on to get this stuff on Tubi and stuff. But um, my goal is to have the RnB Talk Show, like on bringing how back when it was when video soul was popping back in the day. You know what I'm saying? And then also, bringing a guest that people want to see. You know what I'm saying? Not nitpicking, okay, they only hot for the moment. So my mission is to really make sure that the artists get their exposure and stuff. So and plus give out great interviews, like I've been doing and stuff. So and plus working on to get back and do the red carpet host again and stuff. So that's the mission. Yes, I'm working on a bunch of stuff, man. So my chapter's not done. Just getting started. You know what I'm saying?
It
So
it
I'm
sure
blessed.
it sure is. That's why I asked what's next, what's going on, because I know there's a lot more cooking up. If somebody wants to reach out to you, if they know an act or they want to chop it up with you on business, and make sure y'all respect the man's business. He put in enough work. Y'all gotta come correct. But
Yeah, man.
if anybody want to reach out to you and conversate or possibly set something up, what's the best way for anybody to reach out to you?
Yeah, just you can DM me. I always respond to my DMs. Just type in the RnB Talk Show on Instagram. Uh, you can email me at Rashad RnBSoul at gmail.com and I will respond to you. As long as you about your business, that's all about it. But you gotta bring something to the table that you've been doing that's been, a great success. You know what I'm saying? And that's what it's about. Because sometimes I hate when people are like, "Oh man, it's collab." Then I'm looking at the stuff. I'm like, "Come on, man." It's like I'm helping you out. You know what I'm saying? So that's the bad part about it. It's like you gotta bring what you need to do and stuff. So yeah, But I like also too. I like to mentor people to make sure that they are focused, and that's what it gets missed. We don't have that no more. So
Yeah.
I like to really bring it back.
I love that. I love that. I love that. It's most definitely needed, especially with the insight, the knowledge, and the passion that you have. It could be a vital thing to revive a lot of the culture that needs to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and that's one thing I talk like the way I do because when I found out that you could go live on Instagram, I said, okay, cool, because everything that I've been dealing with and experienced, I could, get a voice out there. The problem with I hate with the black community is that we are very literate. Because like no matter what you write down on social media, no matter what you say in the video, as the one person that knows you or knows of you, they will say something totally the opposite. So that's why I say that it's sad. It's not the younger people; it's the people that's around the age and up. So that whole thing, man, really needs to really be worked on when it comes to like comprehension, man. It is bad, man. And stuff. And some people are like, "Are you mad?" Like, no, I'm talking about how the business is. You'll know
Yeah.
when I'm pissed when I'm calling somebody out. But yeah, man, that's what we need to work on and stuff. So for me, I use my voice to educate people, to really waking them up. So that's the whole goal of it, man. So that's my mission right there.
And you are successful, and you're gonna continue being successful in that, my brother. You surely will.
I appreciate it.
There's no way possible for the accolades and the runtime that you had to continue to do it that you're not making a big mark. I'm not even gonna say making a mark. You've made many marks, and you will continue to make your mark in this industry, my brother. So I just want to let me give another round of applause for that, man. Another round of
Yeah, I
applause
appreciate it.
for that. Do you have any closing words? I want to leave the floor. I see in the chat they're putting diamonds. They saying thank you for the gems. So you're hitting things
Appreciate
that
that.
are resonating with the viewers. Is there for the closing
Yeah.
remarks, is there anything you want to share and say, shout outs, anything you want to say? The floor is yours, my brother.
Appreciate it. We'll give shout out to all the viewers who took the time to watch, this interview and stuff and learn because I want people to really fully pay attention. Because I know that we get distracted by a lot of things. I just hope that people that's an artist that's trying to figure out these business avenues, they get a chance to really learn what I'm coming from. Because ain't nobody talks like how I do on here, as far as like a longevity, because people gonna be I hate all this hidden agendas. No, I'm like, just put it out on the table, man, because that way they can know what they get themselves into further in this business, so that way they can be fully aware. So and stuff, and big shout out to you all for reaching out to me because I did a lot of interviews and that was cool, but this is the best one. And to talk long on here, I was like, thank you. No 30 minutes, no 20 minutes. I can't do that. You know what I'm saying? I gotta give you Rashad Ali. I can't give you a half of me. So that way people can feel what I'm coming from. You know what I'm saying? So and I appreciate y'all doing that because the thing about me is that, this is me not just on the internet, that's how you're off the internet. So, everybody know a person like, this is Rashad 24/7. So I don't ever change my age and pain, man.
I respect that. I respect that.
Yeah.
And again,
But,
I would like to say that from the gate, from when we was backstage, your energy just took off, and we was chopping. I wanted to be like, no, let's save this, let's stop right here. But
it's all good, man.
your energy is most definitely appreciated. Thank you for coming on the show. Like for a person like myself who loves sitting down and talking with individuals, it felt good to have the insight from someone who gave people the opportunity to speak and hear the story from that individual, and also gems that I could take on my journey of doing that as well. So I want to just take that time to thank you again.
No problem, brother. Let me tell you something, man. You keep doing what you're doing, man, because I like the platform you got. Because I saw the interview with Liddy Williams. I saw the interviews with this one particular cat. And I felt the energy. I said, you know what? They got a great form of platform they got. So they keep doing what they're doing because it's needed. It don't say like if you can have multiple platforms that's humble, know what they're talking about, that could really go further in life. Like I'm gonna tell you this: if you saw this one video, I went live one time. I was talking about music, then it shifted. There was a young lady, big shouts to Katina, and she could vouch for it. There was a young lady, I think she was like in Florida somewhere. She wanted to commit suicide. And then when I was talking to her, I said, you know what? Let me put a pause on what I was going to do. And then I told her, I said, you know what? God brought you here not only for me to go laugh, for me to talk to you. And then I started encouraging everything. I said, look, you ain't the only one. You know what I'm saying? Because I think she lost her brother. That was like her only person that she looked up to. Her mama died a long time ago. Then her grandma died recently. So, and I told her, I said, don't ever end your life. You ain't the only person going through this.
Yeah.
I said, for one, love yourself. Your black is beautiful. Always remember that, and I think she was autistic and stuff like that. I said, don't worry about somebody making fun of you. Trust me, the most pretty person, they get dogged down. So don't even worry about that. See, what makes the person ugly is how they carry themselves and talk reckless and do a lot of damage stuff. That's what's ugly. Guy don't like ugly, he barely even likes pretty. So what that tell you?
That's real. That's real.
That's real too, man.
And that's the power of the access of someone having their voice. That's just another testimony right there of how powerful the things that you do and the outlets that was that one person that voiced it, but there was probably 20, 50 others that heard it that needed to hear that, man. So thank you, my brother. Thank you.
No problem, man. No problem, man. What I'm saying? Cause plus, I'm working on to go to these churches and really, talk to, people of all ages, they need to hear that because it's sad that, you ever notice that neighborhoods you live in coming up, it be all these black churches. It's like they want to donate money, but they never dare, we're trying to help a black man, black woman get a job. Especially when people got felonies. My thing like is you cannot judge a man or woman that's trying to get above. They're trying to take care of them. They're trying to take care of their family, but they can't because, you keep on continuing to put a brother down. You know what I'm saying? Like you got the power to really change a person's mind frame to help them to get above. It's like, don't try to be on the news talking about, oh man, yeah, that brother Jamal, a great kid. It's a damn shame, this happened. But at the same time, you want to come on church on Sundays to get a couple of dollars, so that way you take care of your Rolls Royce and
Yeah.
I was gonna help them all that. It's like, you make a change, when you sit there and help the community out. Like if I was a pastor, man, I'd be going to the neighborhood. You can't help everybody out, but the ones who want to help, they can bring a change. You know what I'm saying? And help somebody, man, that wants to be mentored. Because people don't realize, when you ordain yourself as a minister and stuff, you got that power to really make a change because people believe in you.
Yep.
But if you sit here go the opposite way, that's a problem. Now, I'm not calling everybody out, but the ones that be on some BS, those are ones who be scamming people.
Yeah.
And that's sad because the black people, we got to do better, man. We got to do better in that, because it's been on my mind for a minute. I'm like, here it is. The crime rate is ridiculous, man.
Yeah.
And back in the day when our person was coming up, everybody was together to a certain extent. Ain't like that no more now. All this divided, all this light skin, dark skin, all you think you married to me. Fuck all that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We gotta
All
do
that
better,
division.
man.
We gotta do better. There's enough noise and distractions amongst us. We don't have to be that to each other.
We don't have to beat each other, man. Because if people watch School Days, if people watch Do the Right Thing, and they want to bring it to the movie theaters right now, it would open the eyes up even further. Bring back roots and stuff, because there's a handful of black folks that have not watched that. But you got those shutting it down talking about, that never happened. Yes, it did.
Yeah, it did.
Because your great-grandparents went through that. They would, they wouldn't, for one, you would never be here if they didn't make it that far to create your dumb ass. You know what I'm saying? So you need to check yourself. So, we got to do better, man. And that's why I say education is important. Here it is. You got the orange man getting rid of Department of Education. And it's sad, like every application you sign, no matter if it's health, job, whatever it is, it will say, put your name right here, cursing your name right here. It's crazy, man.
Yeah.
It's crazy. That happens and stuff. So that's why I say that, something needs to change, man. If we don't change, this world gonna be reckless and stuff. So we got to, there has to be a voice. So for me, I kind of got to a point, I say, you know what? I want to talk to people so that way, I can reach out to them. I don't care about the camera time. I don't care about the news. Stay away from me, please.
Yeah.
Because it's one that get exposure, but I don't want that type of exposure. My exposure is talk to the people, straight up. You know what I'm saying? So I want people to really to understand where I'm coming from, because I've been through some stuff. You know what I'm saying? But those situations on a personal note brought me where I'm at today. To plant some seeds into people's heads. Because you're never too old to learn something.
Yeah.
Straight up. It is sad. That we in a world lost. It's like that. Because there was and people realize the way black people feel each other. It all started once the end of slavery. You tell your child, like, are you too dark? Are you ugly? You don't like me. You don't like somebody in the family. That hurts a child.
Yeah.
And so when they have kids, they start taking out their own kids. And they like from 1900, 20, 30, 40s, 50s, 60s, 80s. Those each decade, they continue to fail each other every time. Yep. Why we got to continue to do that for? And then I hate when mothers and fathers, once a child gets burned, talking about, I don't understand why does it happen to me. You know why it happened? Because you keep, you promote that in front of your child's face. You mentally abuse them, besides the physical part of it. You embarrass them, everything. You see more black kids kill each other. Like when I said one of my commentaries, I said, if BET was still kept T Summit, I'm not saying it would save all black kids, it would save a handful of them.
Yeah.
Because they helped me out back in the 90s. That's why I say we need a T Summit. I know people talk about Soul Train and all that. That's cool, but damn, man, we need T Summit back. Because all these kids died over gun violence, commit suicide because they feeling bullied, everything. It's sad, man. We having all these elements that's happening to in our black communities, man, because it's sad that, where kids are afraid to speak to their parents because sometimes the parents can't comprehend and they take it out on them. And you got mothers that's like 35 years old, so focused on want to be the ass over on social media, but you can't focus on the kid run around and do a lot of bullshit. You know what I'm saying? And trying to find love, and that's why you see some kids be like, well, this person, they were not related to me. They was like a father, they was like a mother because, they believed in me. So yeah, you create a child, but you can't take credit what Chris RB done with somebody else who stepped in. You know, it doesn't work like that. So yeah, you know, we gotta do better, man.
That's the slogan. That's the line right there. We gotta do better.
Guys too,
We
man.
gotta
Got
do better. I saw in the chat. They wrote that the chat is on this live is digging this interview. So you hit a lot of points from business to the personal aspect down to passion that everybody is really taken to, man. So
yeah.
I want to thank you. We most definitely want to have you back.
Appreciate
And
it.
now that we brought everybody up to breast with your backstory and where you are, maybe we could talk a little bit more into the business and
Oh, absolutely,
some
man.
of that aspect on the next run, so we could have like a part two. I would really love, because I love your mind frame. I love how you
Yeah, I
chopping it up,
appreciate it, brother.
and I know the viewers are loving it as well. So
Yeah. And
thank
I
you.
appreciate it, you know, because my thing was like, I've been interviewed by so many platforms, but it's like, I don't, to me, you know, I'm very cautious about, you know, when it comes to the host, because I've been interviewed and it be limited. I'm like, yo, you know, like, this the only interview, and I'm not bragging about it, it's the truth. Like, I get a chance to really talk it like it is. I mean, it's what they, you know, of course, I got to tell a story about my life, but also I want to educate people. That's been my goal since day one. How can you run a platform you're supposed to be black owned, but you're not being real? You know
Talk
what I'm saying?
about
I
it.
mean, you know, come on, man. That's not a voice, man. You know, you live it to your own self, you know, and that's why I don't like to get on certain platforms, because I'm like, you know, like if I can't be me, that's a problem. So for me, my goal is to educate folks. It's bigger than music, you know what I'm saying? This is life, you know, straight up. So yeah, you know, because you know, people are afraid to speak, and I know, I understand, but me, I don't give a damn. I'm not sad to nobody. Only person I'm sad to myself.
To yourself, and you gonna say
Yeah,
what you gotta say. I feel that.
yeah, yeah, that's no lie, man. So, you know, that's why I say, you know, like with class dismissed, when I get done talking, it's over, man. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I mean, I can do this all day and stuff, you know, but for me, you know, that's why, like, I done had, like, okay, for example, Roddy for Truth. Big shout out to the brother. One day he hit me up a couple months ago. He said, my brother, he said, dude, I've been wanting to talk to you for a long time, dude. He says, dude, the stuff you said over years, dude, have my eyes up. And, you know, it's one thing you got somebody that's on the come up, trying to build themselves up, but somebody like him who's been in the game way longer than us, they're saying something.
Hmm.
And see, I had a vision. I'm glad he did it, because I want them to pay attention to themselves. Like, look what's going on around you. Yeah, you know, you got all these shows and everything else, but is your business right?
Yep.
You know, straight up. You know, because God gave you this power to talk to your fans. You know, and I guess some people don't know how to talk mechanically, but I'm sorry, to me, I gotta have something to say. But I'm no type of person, I'm not running people. I want people to really focus on themselves, you know, as a person. You know, how can you sit here and talk about, you know, I'm for the people, but you're not for the people? You know,
Right.
that's straight up. And I put it this way, like, somebody could watch this video right now, and take what you said, I say, and will try to run that game, try to scam.
For real.
Brother, you know, dude, you know, like, is there something wrong with you or something? You know, like, nigga, like, are you deaf or something? You know, so straight up. So yeah, you know, and that's why I'm like it's all the time, you know, and like my boy Keith said, two-faced, you know, straight up. 'Cause I can't stand it as a two-faced person. That's what we gotta watch. Because I'm gonna tell you straight up, it's like no matter how good your platform is, you got people trying to run to you talk about, oh man, you know, let's work together. Nah, man, you know. I always say this, you know, always work with those who bring, you know, who's willing to work with you, and y'all on the same page. Success will come out of it. Nobody should not be scamming each other, man. But
Yeah.
see, that's one of the reasons why I hate to come off and I hate to say it like this, but that's what white people want, because you know why? Because like we sell drugs to each other, we lie to each other, like we kill each other. We do all these things like that's how they sit back and laugh at us.
Yeah.
They think that that's in our nature. That's why you see other cultures thinking that that's how we are. You know what I'm saying? Like we don't create so much stuff here in America, man, that we still ain't got, you know,
Yep.
what we really want.
Yep.
You know?
Yep. We
Yeah,
man, if you want to keep it real, we created even that America itself.
yeah,
We
exactly. You
built
know
it.
what I'm
You
saying?
know, we built it. So, now, my brother, you drop a lot of gems. You are passionate, and this is what we
Yeah,
like
appreciate it.
and love on this platform. I know in the chat again, people are just giving their hands. I'm seeing the hands, and You hitting those marks. You hitting those
Yeah.
marks.
But I
Again,
want that. Yeah, but I want before I cut you off, maybe to cut you off, but for the people that's always to watch whatever you're going through, continue to pray. Every day. You know what I'm saying? If you close to somebody that's in heaven, have a conversation with them by yourself. You talk to them, you in your car, you in your crib. Have that, schedule a time for yourself to have a conversation to your grandmother, your close friend, whatever. Because trust me, they hear you. They with you right now.
that's real.
Because one thing for sure, there's no limit on praying. You know what I'm saying? Have a conversation, with God, but also your loved ones. Because every prayer you'd be surprised how your outlook looks different.
That's real.
Like, so that's real.
And that right there is the cherry on top.
That's right.
Have that relationship. Speak. Don't be in fear to pray. Put
Yeah.
your words into the universe, man. And like you said, let's all do better. Let's all do better. My brother,
Yeah.
I wanna salute you. I
No
wanna
problem, brother.
salute you. Thank you for coming on
No
MJMG
problem.
Presents SHU Radio. For everybody on Apple TV, Google TV, thank you for riding out. Everybody on the chat, thank you for enjoying it. Thank you for being here. I hope the gems, you could take something, if not all, at least something that you could add to your toolbox or your jewelry box or any box for that matter to create some value, my brother. Again, thank you, man. You have
Hey, no
a
problem,
blessed night, and thank you for blessing us with those gems, my brother.
Yeah, hey man, I like that intro, man. I'm gonna tell you that I've been on a lot of interviews, dude. That's the best intro I ever had, man. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate that, man.
Oh man, thank you, my brother. Thank you, man.
Yeah,
Thank you.
man. We'll talk,
Thank you.
man.
All right, have a good one.
We out, man.
All right. Shout out to the brother Rashad Ali. If you didn't get anything from today, and there was many things to get from many different aspects, but if you didn't get anything from today, one thing that kind of echoed throughout the night is you gotta do better. And he said it, we gotta do better. But now I'm gonna direct it and I'm gonna personalize it. You gotta do better. And doing better don't mean always doing the right thing. It don't mean stop messing up. It means still giving yourself the effort to learn. Because when you gotta do better, you gotta take your experiences from what you did, apply them to make the advances even more successful. So you gotta do better. You gotta keep learning. If you're a rapper, never get comfortable in that. If you're an actor, never get minimized because you did a play. Whatever it is you're doing, I don't care if it's 9 to 5 or you slinging 5, do better. Because we could always do worse. We could always sit and pivot and stop and plateau at doing okay. But if this is what you love, and when I say if this is what you love, I'm talking about you. If you are what you love, doing better should be life. And if you're always doing better, you'll never do worse. Thank you for hanging out tonight. Let's get a round of applause on that. We're going to close the night out with 3 a.m. I started out with JR's. I'm going to end it with JR's. But if you didn't know, I got to do the promo real quick. Check out the Experience album, right? This is the Kit album right here. There's a lot of treats in that. If you don't know, check out the KIT album, Kit album. It's out now. This is MJMG Presents The Experience. This song right here is on it. It's called 3 a.m. This is one of my other favorite songs on it. But thank you guys. You have a beautiful night. Keep safe, and I'll see y'all next week. This is SHU Radio by way of MJMG Presents. Y'all have a good night.